Hello! Hello! Oh man, that microphone is hot. 1 second. Already. Small adjustments. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 287, I believe. Let me just double check. 280, is that correct? 287 of The Joy of Coding. Hello! My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. This is a special one. I'm back in the office, so I'm not using the same equipment that I normally use to stream. So that means that if I sound different, if the microphone's a little hotter than normal, let me know so I can make adjustments. I've kind of like swapped out a bunch of hardware. That's why the camera's a little bit different. It's actually a lot of the old hardware I was using before I started streaming from home. So let me know in the chat if things need adjustment. But it's so good to have you here for episode 287 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. We're going to be live hacking on Firefox today. We're going to be trying to bring back a patch from the dead, if I understand correctly, in this episode, a picture-in-picture related patch. So we can start taking a look at that. But first, before we do that, let me start by sharing my screen. The light is a bit too bright. Yeah. I'll do what I can here. I don't have a whole lot of control over the lighting in this room. I'll see if I can. There we go. So I can adjust the filters on the camera, but I can't actually change the light in this room. But hopefully that's a bit better. All right, let me share my screen. All right, like I said, today is episode 287. It's April 20th, 2022. And a reminder that no plan survives breakfast. I really don't know what's going to happen today. I kind of have a sense of what I want to work on. I have a sense that I want to, you know, we're going to be reviving a patch from back in the day, but especially because I'm using a bunch of like hardware that I haven't used in a while, it's possible that things might fall over, things might not work properly. Just be patient with me while I sort of like sort things out. But even outside of the technical issues, we might get stuck, we might get sidelined. It might be that this patch can't be brought back from the dead and we have to like write a new one instead or something. And that's okay. That's kind of the name of the game here, where you're watching me actually do what I would normally do at my day job. I'm just streaming it live. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the agenda that we're looking at here in front of you is actually something you have access to. If you're watching this on Air Mozilla, check out the video description, the video details, rather, and if you're on YouTube, it'll be in the video description. And for the folks in Twitch, then the agendas, I can just pass a link. I should have had it in my clipboard already, but I didn't, but I'll just pass it along to you in the, it's currently, see, it's stuff like that that's, so apparently the YouTube live stream is currently unlisted. I made a mistake and failed to list it. Let me quickly fix that. That's one of those things. Like I should have had that as part of my checklist, but I got too excited today because I was in the new place. So let me quickly edit this event so that it is actually listed and people can find it. One moment. But yeah, just a sense of what we're doing today. I'm hoping to work on, hold on, it's hard to speak and do this at the same time. Unlisted. It's currently unlisted. Can I change visibility? Public. There you go. My bad. It was unlisted. Now it's public. Okay. What I wanted to do today was I wanted to look at this bug. This is actually something that was suggested to me by someone who had sent in a suggestion via the Rate This Episode form. So, you know, I have this form, it's in the agenda, anyone can send feedback about how the stream is going, and one of the things that you can do is you can like ask a question or you can give me a sense of what you want me to look at. And this person suggested this bug, 1678390, where a couple of, I think this was actually years ago, we had a student working on this patch to make it so that if you ever, whoops, I have to get used to this keyboard in this office. If you are using picture-in-picture, which you may have heard me talk about on the stream before, and you use the multiple picture-in-picture window capability, one of the drawbacks of multi-picture-in-picture is that it doesn't, like when you first open the next window, if you've already got one playing and you open the next one, it'll actually open it potentially on top of the old video. It's not always on top of the old video, especially if you've moved the picture-in-picture player window, but if you haven't moved it, because like there's a little bit of a complication here. When you close a picture-in-picture window, we save the position, the relative position of where the picture-in-picture player window was, so that we can try and put the next picture-in-picture window in that spot. So if you have a picture-in-picture window open, and then you open another one, if they're both in the default spot, then they're just going to overlap one another. And that's not a great experience. You know, obviously you can move the picture-in-picture player window. That's very easy, and just pick it up and drag it. But it'd be better, I think, if they were sort of intelligently able to lay themselves out, like do a best effort to not overlap one another. And that's what this patch from about a year ago was trying to do, where it's using a very simple algorithm of trying to find the area around the existing player window, if one exists, like find one, and then try and find the largest rectangle on any edge. See if you can find any edge where there's a large enough rectangle that's not being used by a player window already. And if we find one, then use that. And if you can't find one, do that with each of the existing picture-in-picture player windows. And the first one you find that's big enough, put it there. And failing that, if we can't find any, well, then give up and just put it over top of the existing one. Like do what our current behavior is. And the thought was that this is going to be like strictly better than what we currently ship. And we've got this patch that was written by Hunter Jones, and it got reviewed, but then it landed, but it got backed out for test failures. So I wanted to see whether or not we could try and revive this thing. Someone was kind enough to remind me about this patch, which has just kind of been languishing, sitting around, waiting for investigation, and it hasn't really been touched. So let's take a look and see if we can figure this out. So the first thing we want to do, I mean, this patch is about a year old. We're going to see if we can pull it down and apply it. And that will be kind of a miracle if it applies cleanly. Let's take a quick peek at the patch itself. Because picture-in-picture has changed quite a bit since this was first written. But it's possible that this will apply cleanly. We'll see. So let's grab the revision ID, and I've got my build window here. I'm actually doing an artifact build because I pulled recently, and I didn't want you to have to watch me do a full-blown binary build again, because that's never fun. So I've got my artifact build almost done, and then we can try and apply this patch. Danny Colin says this. I'm not entirely sure what this is. Oh, someone had talked about like cascade windows. You can use the cascade option to arrange all open windows to overlap one another with their title bars remaining visible. Well, not exactly. We don't want them to overlap. We want to avoid overlaps. So it's almost like the exact opposite of this, where we do not have them overlap ever. I mean, obviously, Cascade is doing an interesting thing where it's like moving windows in relation to one another. It's just we're going to be a little more extreme and not let them overlap. We'll have them like try and find the largest rect around any of the existing ones on the edges. That's the plan. Oh, someone is saying use Cascade if it fails to find an empty corner. Yeah, we could try that as a fallback after not finding an existing one. Yeah, we could try Cascade. That's not a bad idea. In fact, maybe I should write that down. Let us create a new active bug note. Let me open up this, copy the summary. So to-dos. We're gonna do some to-dos here. Try to revive patch. Investigate the test failure. And then we're going to see if it's possible to either do a cascade, window cascade, and then I will link to the article that Crushed Optimist, thank you Crushed Optimist, had linked to. Do a window cascade style solution. How keyboard? Sorry, I'm still very much getting used to this keyboard. I want it home. What? No, I want to create a link. Thank you. Do a window cascade. See if it's possible to do a window cascade, and then I just want to Oh, I don't want the whole thing. Remove the link from this section. Boy, this is annoying. All right. There we go. See if it's possible to do a window cascade in the failure case where we can't find a large enough rect around any existing player window. Okay. If that can be done quickly, augment the patch. If not, file a follow-up bug. And maybe we can do that separately. Okay, let's try to revive the patch. That's step one. So we'll get the review request ID with D97847. Hopefully you can see the bottom of my screen, right? You can't. You can't. This is, I forgot that this particular display model, you can't actually see the bottom of my screen. I might actually have to adjust that. How do I, hang on, how do I do that? What's the best way to do this? This is one of those things where I'm gonna have to make some adjustments on the fly. Hang on. Sorry, I'm adjusting things on the fly. Not quite, not quite. There we go. That's what we want. Hopefully that's still readable. If not, here I can pump up the font. I'm gonna have to create two different like scenes for whenever I'm in, one for when I'm in the office and one for when I'm at home, I guess, to adjust for these different devices. Anyways, let's see if we can apply this patch. So we use mozfab patch, put in the review request ID. Now here's what I'm actually going to do. Normally whenever I'm applying a patch, I would do apply to here, and what that will do is it'll attempt to just like transplant it onto wherever I am in the tree. But instead of doing that, I'm just going to use the default arguments, because what that's going to do is it's going to apply the patch to where the original author, Hunter, had originally written it against. So that will definitely apply cleanly. And then what we can do is try and use Mercurial's rebase command to then move the patch to tip. And the reason I want to do that rather than using apply to here is that apply to here is really just using, I think, patch under the hood, like the Unix command patch. It's not very smart. It just looks at the diff and tries to write the changes to disk, and if it fails, it complains loudly. If I do it this way, what I'll be able to do is take advantage of Mercurial's understanding of how things have changed over time, and that gives me a higher probability of success when doing the rebase. So let's see that. Yeah, let's deal with the rebase conflicts, exactly. So first we have to check out that old commit. Wow, it is getting warm in here. I guess I'd forgotten that was another feature of working in this office and working in this particular room, is that it gets quite warm. I'll just deal with it. But I'm learning, I'm relearning. This is stuff that I had known years ago, and I'm just like remembering it again. I used to have like a very regimented process, a procedure for like laying out my hardware, like cabling everything nicely, getting a good chair. I didn't get a good chair. So like this chair is only okay. It's good for like an hour meeting or something, but not for when you're mousing around and keyboarding. Like this is probably going to make my wrist a little bit sore. So I'm going to have to solve that for next time I'm in here. But it's baby steps, you know? Now, because this revision is from a year ago, I guess Mercurial is having to do quite a bit of work in order to check out this old revision. So while we're waiting for that, oh, it's doing it. While it's doing that, maybe we can read through some of what this patch is doing. So we get these primitives from something called geometry.jsm. Let's make sure that still exists. Yes, it does. And we get these primitives rect and point. And these are primitives that let us do basic geometry, geometric math. And it looks like the real sort of guts of this patch is in this function, this new function called resolve overlap conflicts. Because ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to pass in the potential dimensions, like position and dimensions, and what we're going to get back, presumably, is corrected dimensions and position. Or at least correct position, because the dimensions are useful, but I don't think we ever write to them. Like, we are not going to change the size of the window that gets opened. Okay, so let's step back for a second here. The patch has been applied. Now I'm going to try and rebase it. So rebase our tip, like if I do glog, aka hg log dash dash graph, we can see that, drumroll please, we had got this old commit from back in the day, from January of 2021, sitting here. It's tip, it's the last thing that got put into the tree, but its parent is like way old, like really, really old. And central is where I want to graft it onto. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and rebase this commit on top of central, and we're going to see how it goes. I'm going to guess that it's going to go poorly. Tip onto central. Let's do a drum roll. We haven't done a drum roll in a while. Oh man, come on. I guess it's a pretty big distance in the tree, like Mercurial has to go ahead and like check out central. I might have to fade out this drum roll. Yeah. Oh, also I'm noticing there's this like, when I backed up, it created this little glitch in my green screen. Okay, drum roll. Come on. It's a big rebase, big distance. Can it do it? All right, maybe I'll just cut the drum rolls. Clearly, that's it's like a watched pot never boiling. So while we wait for that to fail, because I'm pretty sure it's going to fail, let's go through this patch. So Hunter was kind enough to put some documentation in. Let's read that. This function will take the size and potential location of a new picture-in-picture player window and try to return the location coordinates that will best ensure that the player window will not overlap with other pre-existing player windows. That's great. And then it takes... Oh, I had recommended that myself, so I shouldn't toot my own horn. Here are the arguments. Now, we probably want to adjust these to be Sphinx.js compatible, because I think this is pre the Sphinx.js sort of conversion where we made all the documentation, inline documentation, use Sphinx.js style for our source, like generated source docs. So that will need to be adjusted. But it takes the positions, the y positions, the width, and the height, and then it returns an array, a two element array, left and top, coordinates to where the past picture-in-picture window should be opened. Okay. synchronous function. So the first thing we check to see is if multi-pip is enabled, and I actually don't know if that's still a property. Like I think we've had multi-pip on for a while, and I think that it's possible that this was removed. Let me just hang on a second. 1 second. Where was I? I wanted to look. I've got a bunch of stuff open right now. Let me close all this stuff that is unrelated. Unrelated. Let's close all these things. Oh boy, come on, Sublime. All right, close everything. No, I don't want to save any of it. No, no, no. Okay, so let's open up picture-in-picture.jsm. And what is it? Is multi-pip enabled? Yeah, that property is gone. So this is, yeah, hit merge conflicts, no doubt. Rebasing that commit again in the working copy. Yeah, Mercurial has this interesting optimization where it will try to do an in-memory merge. And if it fails that, then like it will then have to repeat the merge operation to create the conflicts. That the trade-off between doing, I mean, the in-memory one is faster, much, much faster. And the trade-off there is that in the success case, which is oftentimes like a rebase will succeed relatively easily, that's much faster than doing the like traditional rebase operation, I think. But whenever it hits conflicts in the in-memory situation, it has to actually go back and redo the rebase, doing it like the slow pathway. And so that's what we're hitting here. It's like having to rebase that command again in the working copy. So here we are. Here are our conflicts. Let's take a quick peek at them. You can see everything, right? Okay, good. So the first thing is that the features string that we were passing to the window seems to have changed over time. What else? We've got this. We've had some new functions inserted into the into picture-in-picture.jsm in the meantime. I think it's resize picture-in-picture window that's probably confusing it. Is that correct? No, it's not. Maybe it was the one above it, which was like whatever was above was this stuff. I guess it's just like the positions are all different. Oh yeah, this stuff changed. This stuff changed. So it's like, what? I had this context before. What's going on? And it's bailing out. And then, was there really no documentation for Resize picture-in-picture window? Seriously? There was, yeah. Resizes the picture-in-picture window. So where did that go? Oh, it's up here. Oh, I see, I see. It just like splatted that over top of the Resize thing. So Mercurial did marginally better than Patch, but not much better. So let's try and correct this. We're not trying to like fix the issue of like, hey, that one property doesn't exist anymore. We're just going to resolve the conflicts, and then we'll figure out how to fix things. So what was the what had changed here? So before, I think we were using what's called resolved top. Resolved top. So what we probably, and that was replacing just top and left. And so we were using rounding here. So what we should probably do is use rounding with the resolved top and the resolved left. And then also with the outer width and the outer height. Math round. Okay, so then we can put that to bed. What is JS? What does linting think? Linting is okay with it. So I think we have resolved the conflicts in this file. Oh, no, linting does not like it. Linting wants this instead. That is only marginally better. I think what I suggest we do... Maybe we'll do it this way. Left equals math round resolve left. It's not great. Like, we're basically recomputing left and top. And then I'm going to overwrite left and top with the rounded values. Fit to screen. Yeah, let's do this. Top equals math.round resolved top. Width equals math.round width. And height equals math.round height. At the very least, this is very clear what's happening, and that's probably the like, that's good. We should put it in the same order that it appears in the string, and then like we can put these back. Top, left, width, height. And then maybe this can be a one-liner. Now we've gotten rid of the rounds. Can this be a one-liner? I don't know how wide this is. View, where's the, show the status bar. Column 94, no, it's too long. Okay. How about here? Where am I? Column 71, perfect. Then, does it want that? Okay, that's what it wants. Fair enough. Okay, so that is the first thing. Oh, it's still complaining. Oh, there we go. That was the first thing that was broken, so let's mark that. Now, I say it's fixed, except it's not fixed. Like, that code is almost certainly not going to work properly. But we've deconflicted it, so it's something we can work with now. Now let's do the same thing with browser.ini. So the test manifest, this thing kind of got confused. Corner snapping, conflicting pips and corner snapping. So before we put conflicting pips after context menu, but we've got this new corner snapping thing. That's what's confusing it. So we'll put LMNO PQR. We should put conflicting pips before corner snapping, like this. Okay, any other conflicts? Okay, that one is done. So now that we've resolved the conflicts, we can continue the rebase, which gets us out of, like, we had a rebase kind of underway. We were in this sort of paused state while we were waiting for us to deconflict things, and now we can continue that rebase and have a broken patch on top of tip, which is fine. We can work with that. And to be completely clear, I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot of effort to make this patch work. I'm going to guess, like, not a whole lot has changed. We might need to make some adjustments here and there, adjust some assumptions maybe that this patch had made originally, but we can do that. So we have our patch, and it is rebased on top of tip. Great. Now let's go back in here and start messing around with it. So resolve overlap conflicts. So there's no such thing as not having multi-pip enabled anymore. So what we can do is check to see if there are no other windows open. If there's no conflicting rect, player rect, find if any rect intersects new player rect. If this is empty, then let's see how this algorithm works. This algorithm, oh, good, we have a comment. This algorithm works by first identifying the possible candidate locations that the new pip could be placed without overlapping other pips, assuming that a conflict is discovered at all, of course. The optimal candidate is then selected by its distance to the original conflict. Shorter distances are better. Candidates are discovered by iterating over each of the sides of every pre-existing pip. One candidate is collected for each side. This is done to ensure that the new pip will be opened to tightly fit along the edge of another pip. This looks very nice. These candidates are then pruned for candidates that will introduce further conflicts. Finally, the ideal candidate is selected from this pool of remaining candidates, optimized for minimizing distance to the original conflict. Whew. All right. Does window type still exist? Yes. Okay. So we're just enumerating the player windows, and what we do is we calculate rects. Get working screen. Do we still have that? We do. And how have we changed how we're working with it at all? Because I know that we're like, there's work to like get the do things with like the scale factors. But I guess not. I guess it doesn't really matter. Sort. Okay. I guess. It's pretty complicated, but I think it's the right call. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by getting rid of that. That doesn't work. Now, in the event that there are no other windows, which I think is probably going to be the common case, that there's not an existing picture-in-picture player window, what's going to happen here? We will not get any windows, so we will skip over this and player recs will be empty, and then conflicting pip rect will be null, and then we'll return left and top. So that makes sense. Conflicting pip rect center. We'll get the LOC. What is it? Conflict LOC? C probably is for center, but what is LOC? Location? Conflict location, maybe? It's going to use the center point for doing measurement of distance. Maybe that's location. And then we get the working screen of the place where there's a conflict. And then we get the available screen size. And we create a rect for the screen. And then we have a function here which will get edge candidates. It'll create an array of points where each point is a corner of a candidate rectangle. So get edge candidates is called on each player rect, where each player rect is any of the intersections of the original location. And then we get the candidate location. Get edge candidates. I guess we have to do that because... No, why are we doing that? Edge candidates rect. Why aren't we returning a rect here? We're creating one here, but we're not doing it here. New rect. Edge candidates. Oh, I see, I see. For each of these is a candidate. Each of these is a candidate. The corners. For each one, we look at the corners. And see if we're within the screen. Make sure that we're not conflicting with something else. And then we add it to our candidate location list. And then we sort by distance. Distance to conflict. Okay. This might actually still work, reading through this. Let's test it out. SureShack says, new PC, looks like text is not that clear. So I'm on actually a different set of, this is like the same computer I normally use. It's just that I'm back in the office, and so I'm using a different set of hardware for streaming, and maybe that's why you're seeing blurriness. You know, maybe this is like a low-res screen or something. My eyes aren't that good. But, you know, I've pumped up the font a little bit. Maybe that'll help. So let's just test this out. Let's see what happens. So let's, what have we changed? Not much. I think we got rid of that first condition. Seriously? Why aren't you finding any? Did I say? Oh, I didn't save. Okay. So I got rid of that one condition. That was like the only change I needed to make. So let's build this and let's test it out. Lighting in here, eh? Lighting. I can already feel like myself getting sore because I'm not used to this setup. What? Why am I having to rebuild? What's going on here? I guess it's because I did a rebase, which causes me to like update out and then update back, and so it's doing a clobber because the clobber file got touched. So this might take a second. In the meantime, let's take a look at the reason that this thing got backed out. And this got backed out because of a test failure in browser resize video. The push with failures is definitely going to be gone. Like, we don't keep that stuff around forever. Yeah, like all of the job artifacts are gone. Cleared that out. But we do have this like log snippet that might help. So what happened was a test unexpected fail occurred because the new video ends at the same X screen position. Check position. Stack trace. The distance was too big. In this particular case, like it looks like sizing the video. Well, we'll have to see if this is still reproducible. Oh, and that failed. What happened? No rule. Oh, I think I have to do mock build whenever it's done a clobber. Ridiculous. While I'm waiting for this, I'm going to quickly plug. Oh, so I've tried to revive the patch where, so like test the patch out manually. We're going to see how it behaves. Then we can investigate the test failure, And then we'll do these other things. While we're waiting for that, I want to plug this conference that I'm going to. There will be no stream next week. So no stream next week. Because I'm going to a conference. I'm not presenting. I'm going to be attending, and it overlaps. The one I'm going at is the session I'm going at is overlapping when I normally stream. And this conference is something you might find really interesting if you are in the software development biz and you want to hear from scientists who are doing interesting research into software development, and in particular how software can be made better, how different practices and how they can be applied, or how lessons that we've learned about like real world software engineering practices, like how your minds learn to program sounds really interesting. The hidden costs and benefits of test-driven development, value and waste in software engineering, how patterns and variable names can make code easier to read, fostering a learning culture in coding teams, causal testing, understanding the root causes of defects, how expert programmers think about errors. Like, a lot of this just sounds great. And there is still time, I think, to get tickets. Tickets are $50 Canadian for people in affluent countries and $20 Canadian elsewhere. We're talking about Canadian dollars here. So if you're in like the United States, that's like only 25 bucks or something. I don't actually know what the difference is right now, but it's less. And all of the money raised goes to support Books for Africa. So it's for a good cause, and look at all this great content. So maybe consider coming, buying a ticket to this conference. I'm going to be attending as well, virtually. Okay, let's test this out. All right, here we go. Now, the way I want to test this, I guess, is let's find some videos. Let's go to YouTube. And what I'll do is let's just look up some videos on like, what are, like, red pandas. That's a safe search query. Okay. Don't want to hear the ad. So we can watch in picture-in-picture. So that opens over here in the default location. Let's leave it there, actually. Let's leave it here in the default location. And then let's open a second picture-in-picture window. Let's open this in a new tab and see what happens if I open this other picture-in-picture window. What will it do? It opened right above it. That's handy. Very handy. Let's open up a third one. To the left. Very nice. I guess that there wasn't enough space just above here. What about this one? I feel like I'm creating, like, I don't know. Have you ever seen one of those movies where like someone's got a bunch of TVs playing different things? It's like that. Look, it's figuring stuff out. This is great. Okay, and then we can pause. Very good. I'm very pleased with this patch. It seems to be working nicely. Now, we haven't done exhaustive testing, but like what we did just now is called like a smoke test. Does it seem to pass general muster? And it seems to. So now let's run the test that was written for it. And if I remember correctly, it's called conflicting pips. And we can definitely remove this thing because multiple pips is on by default. And then presumably we can like run these things. Okay, so let's see what happens if I go and open conflicting pips. We're going to remove this because we don't need to, this pref doesn't exist anymore. It's allowed by default and we remove the pref. Let's see what happens if we run this test. Mock, test, browser component. Oh no, it's under toolkit. Test, toolkit, components, picture-in-picture test, browser, conflicting pips. And I just had a feeling about what maybe is wrong, like why this test failed when run in sequence. If this test ran before the resize window thing, and resize window is checking the location of windows, it's possible that when this test exited, we saved the location of the last window, which wasn't overlapping and was not in the default position. And so if we have hard-coded expectations of that video, of where it's supposed to be positioned, I can see that failing, that like we persisted state. Let's see if we can get that failure to occur for us. So like that test passed, and let's just quickly read it and make sure it makes sense. So we open up a test page, we open up a pip window, we close the pip window, then we trigger another one, and then we closed first pip to save location. Okay, I don't know why we needed to do that. Oh, I guess because we wanted to, no, I don't know. I guess because that's going to be the starting, it sets conditions for these, right, it allows us to have our starting conditions set. Makes sense. We get the second pip window, and then we create a third pip window, and we ensure that they're not in the same location, and then we close the first one, and then we close. Second pip window is still open, was still open, and is now closed. With controls closes. Then we close third pip. Now what's interesting is that third pip it should be in the default position. So my theory is wrong. With controls is the one that looks like we opened it and it's not overlapping. Right? Hold on. Second pip. Oh no, it is third pip. Third pip is the one that opens and doesn't overlap. So I'll bet you if we are able to reproduce this, if we reverse this, that should make the bug go away. But what might be better is to just blow away the saved video location at the end of this test. That's probably better. All right, let's see if we can recreate the failure. So the one that was failing was resize video. That's this one. And that should run on this platform. And what we're going to do is we're going to run from conflicting pips to resize video. So mock Moki test, browser, not browser, toolkits, components, picture-in-picture test browser, start at, we're going to say start at conflicting pips, end at resize video. And let's see what happens. Now, actually, before I do that, let me do that. Let me make sure that browser resize video actually passes, because I think the last time I tried running this myself, it did not pass on this hardware. And so I don't want to get confused. Browser tests, browser resize video. All right, let's run this. See, yeah, it does fail. I wonder if it's also because I've got my dock on the left. What happens if I move my dock? I'm just curious. General or dock. Let's put the dock on the bottom for now. Let's see what happens. Because then all of a sudden this becomes usable screen real estate. weird to have my dock on the bottom. I'm very used to having it on the left. Yes, that does pass. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna first modify. Well, hold on. Here's what we're gonna do first. We're gonna run that command I was trying to run before. We're just gonna see if like we can get our see if we can create that test failure. So this might take a little bit because of all the tests that need to run in between. Ooh. Let's see what's going to happen. Here we go. Here we go. Whew. Okay, there's the resize test. So this, we're gonna see if this ends up failing. Oh, it doesn't fail. Interesting. What platform did it originally fail on? Looks like it was on Windows. We might have to push this to try and see if it still fails in automation, because it might actually not. It might not fail in automation. And then this thing can just like go, probably. Like I might want to clean it up a little bit. Some of the commentary, this like long comment in here can probably be cleaned up a little bit, and we have to clean up some of the generated documentation. But the actual behavior, I'm not getting the failure. So let's amend this change so far, or changes. Let's push to try. And then while we're here, let's see if we can make that other test less fragile if the dock is on the left, and then I can put my dock back on the left. And not have to worry about, you know, your AV is out of sync. I think it started when the tests were running. Oh no, you're right. There is a little bit of lag now. Check. Okay, hold on. Let me see what I can do about that. I'm just gonna go back to my home screen for a sec. One moment. How about now? No, still a little out of sync. Whoop. I don't know what to do about that. Maybe if I close this, and sometimes this will cause the device to reset. Oh, that's annoying. I apologize. What I'll do is I'll just close my mouth a little bit so that you can't see me being out of sync. That way it seems like everything is normal. All is well, right? Perfect. Let's push to try. Here, I'll just stop moving my mouth. Push to try. Mock try. Fuzzy. And then we'll pass in toolkit components, picture-in-picture tests. And we'll ask for an artifact build. Someone says, wear the Top Gun COVID mask. So yeah, I had tweeted that I had been sitting at my desk This is not Top Gun. Like, I felt like I was in Top Gun. Let me go get my mask. So this is the mask I'm normally wearing at my desk. It looks more like a paper cup strapped to my face, but I sure felt like I was in Top Gun, especially when I do this. When I have it dangling off my face like that, I feel like they did that all the time in Top Gun. Where, like, you know, Tom Cruise or Maverick or whoever it is, or Goose, or, you know, they're in their airplane, and then, like, one of them's having, like, a panic attack or something and just needs to go, like that's how I feel. It's been a while since I've seen Top Gun. Hopefully that was what you wanted, crushed optimist. It'd be great if I had, like, an actual, like, I think it'd be great. I don't know if it'd be great. If I had, like, a fighter pilot mask, that'd be cool. Or if they, like, I'll bet you someone came up with, like, a design, a printed design that looks like you're a fighter pilot. And you can put on some aviators and put that on in a helmet and look real cool while also protecting yourself and others around you. Oh, man. Come on, Mock Try. What's the holdup? Okay, in the meantime, let's see if we can figure out how we could potentially alter that other test, Resize Video, to not be reliant on the dock being on the bottom. How does that work? So run Resize Test, check position. Ah, it's got, like, hard-coded screen coordinates. Screen edge is closest to. Okay. Okay, we'll have to check that out in a second. Ah, get a move on. Okay, so the way that works, the way this test works is for each video, we try to move the pip location to 0, 0. But that's not going to work if my dock's on the left. Like, the move to will attempt to move to 0, 0, but it's actually going to be, like, pushed out by the amount of, you know, the dock. Then we close the window, and then we trigger picture-in-picture again, and then we run test video. And test video sets up these functions and then gets the inner width, inner height. We get the initial screen X and initial screen Y. And then resized aspect ratio. We make sure that things are resized properly. Now, what was the exact error before? It was something like Scooby-Doo-Doo-Doo-Doo-Doo-Doo. It was here. New video ends at the same screen X position. New video ends at the same screen X position. If pin X or previous screen X is 0, then do this. Otherwise, assert that previous screen X plus the previous width minus the screen X plus the new width is 2. So it's using previous screen X and previous width. That's interesting. So check position using the initial screen position. So I thought it was using hard-coded values, but it looks like it's trying its best to get the existing screen values. Okay, here's our Moki test. So Moki test browser. We're going to do debug and opt. We're not going to go with no fizz. We're not going to do asan or tsan. Software render. I guess these make sense. Okay, we'll run these. All platforms, all desktop platforms. Do it. Oh, I can already tell it's gonna hate me because I don't think I've got my SSH key added to the SSH agent. Let's find out. Did I restart recently? I may have. When was the last time I pushed? Okay. I do want to solve this other one because I think we can. I think we can definitely solve that by the time this episode finishes in 25 minutes. So we're going to push this to try. I'm going to move my dock back to the left to create the failing conditions. Pushing worked, so I can put a link to that here. Test the patch out manually. We did that. Investigate the test failure. Try push is here. And then let's see if we can sort out this this test failure. So resize video. We're just gonna run that one, and it's gonna fail again. Hopefully it fails consistently. And what I like to do, because this test is a little long, like it does a bunch of stuff, is can we make it shorter? Can we like change the length of the test so that we've got a tighter feedback loop? Because that's important when you're doing development, is a nice tight feedback loop. Like notice it's repeating itself a lot. Okay, we got our failure. So what I'm going to do is, I see that there are two tasks here. I'm going to actually skip this one down here. So we just run this once, and then let's presume this still fails. So this should actually cut the processing time in half, or the execution time in half. Blah, 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 blah. It feels like my machine, like the video feed is kind of caught up. Is there still, yeah, there's a little bit of delay. Little bit of delay. Okay, still got our failures. Great. In fact, we've got all of the failures because this tests RTL, which puts everything on the right side, which is interesting. Okay, now can we... Let's eliminate some of these. Do we still fail if we do this? Craig's typing. What you gonna say, Craig? What you saying, Craig? What you got for me? Craig. Okay. I don't see any delay with your webcam and the audio on YouTube, says Craig. Thank you, Craig. So maybe the delay has started to go away. Maybe it had less to do with my camera and more to do with the feed. Maybe there's always been a little bit of delay. I honestly have no idea. Okay, so we've made it a little bit shorter. Let's see if we can reduce it even further. So the test failure is like new video ends at the same screen X position, which is this thing, check position. Can we just do this? Can we just do this first one and then return? Will that cause failures? Yes, it does. And the other thing I note that we're doing is we're testing each of with controls and no controls. So I'm actually going to just do the one. That's a hacky way of doing that. So we reduce it even further. Smaller and smaller. Smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. That's what Faith No More was talking about in that song. It's talking about reduced test cases. Okay, we've got a minimal failure here, like a single failure. It only took 13 seconds. That's pretty good. Let's see if we can investigate this now. So the failure occurs after what? After opening the window, moving it to 0, 0. You know what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use the debugger here in check position. And run with the debugger. Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Craig, for remarking that you don't see any delay. I know I'd already acknowledged it before, but I just want to double acknowledge Craig. What's up with that? What's going on up there? What's this little apple up here? What's happening there? Okay, we got our breakpoint. So previous screen X is 42, previous screen Y is 25, previous width. It's weird how it like resized this thing. Oh, I guess it's because the underlying video also resized. That's what's going on, I think. I think we like switched the video source to cropped. I see. Yeah, okay. And where do we go? We go here, pin X, undefined, previous screen X is not 0. So we enter here, and then we are asserting that previous screen X, which is 42, and previous width is 400 and what? 839, and then new screen X is still 42, but the width, new width, is 629. The width is different. New width. And is that an accurate width? Maybe there's a real bug here. What is new width? Initial width, resized width. Resized width is pip win inner width. And bloop, 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 bloop. Let's run that again, actually. As soon as I focused the player window, the test like decided to just continue executing for some reason, which is annoying. But let's put the dock back on the bottom and see what happens using those same steps and inspecting the same thing. Okay. Run. Okay. New width. Previous width. See that? This looks the same. That looks the same. So what's going on here? We enter here. Previous screen X is 0. Aha. Because we're at the edge. Because we're at the edge, we actually expect to enter here. That's what's going on. So the hard-coded 0 means we're at the edge of the screen, and that's what's going wrong. Okay, I understand. I can fix that. So what we can do is get the current screen edge. By default, the browser test, the Smoky Test browser test, is going to, like, it's running on a display. Picture-in-picture will always open on the same display as the originating window, or it will do its best to do that. So we can just get this current screen and figure out what the available rect is and use the leftmost side and set that as the edge. That's what we're going to do. And a lot of this we can probably reuse some of the logic in here. Get avail screen size. Like, this is something that's actually available on picture-in-picture.jsm. We might actually be able to just reuse this. Pip screen, get working screen. There's all these like public methods that maybe we can reuse. Get working screen. Screen for rect. Left top. So what we could do, once we get the screen, because we can do that, which width, screen X, screen Y, and then maybe what we can do is get access to picture in the working screen. I think picture-in-picture is just this global that we'll have access to. Picture.jsm. Yeah, it's this global that's in the window. So we can just access it like that. And then we'll use screen X, screen Y, and get the get avail screen size. That's what we want. Now what we want is like the pip screen left edge will be the first one, and that's all we want. And then we have to do this with RTL as well. RTL, how is that going to work? Pin X is true. Well, let's figure that out when we get there. So let's make it so that we pass in the left edge. Previous screen X equals left edge. Why is it complaining about, okay, it doesn't like that. Let's see if this passes now that we've done that. Black Apple is bug 1765524. Neat. So this is an existing unrelated bug. Yeah. Neat. Regressed by this thing. Fascinating. Okay, so this failed because get available screen size. I used this instead of picture-in-picture. Thank you, Metasibin, for that link. That's great. Great tip. Hey, all right. Now let's put the dock on the bottom. Let's see if it passes. And let's put the dock on the right. See if that passes. Now the right happens to be on my other display over here, so you know, it's pretty extreme. But I suspect this will also work. Though I have been wrong before. Good, okay. So let's put the dock back on the bottom, or on the left where I'm used to, and let us re-enable a bunch of this stuff. So I had this early return. Let's get rid of the early return and do the rest of this test. And check position. I guess we can, like, every call here we're gonna have to update to use the left screen edge. Do I have a 4K 32-inch display? I don't know. I don't know what this hardware is. I wish I knew more about my own computer hardware, but I don't know. Hey, it passed. Great news. Now let's unskip the, was it no controls here? We're gonna put no controls back. We're starting to build up our test cases again. So we're stopping the whole minimize thing, minimizing test cases. We're putting stuff back. Let's see what happens now. Ah, that failed. New video is still in the same X position. Zero. Do we have another hard-coded zero in here? So this video is 42. That's probably the generated one. New video is still in the... Test the video when using pin X and pin Y. That's probably where we're failing, right? Like, I mean, it looks like you have a really high resolution. I don't know. I guess so. I don't think this is 4K. Is it 4K? My eyes are really bad at telling when something is high resolution or not. Like, some people I know have like high def TVs and I can't tell the difference between that and like on standard definition. I guess my eyes just aren't sensitive enough to that kind of detail, which I guess is bad. If I'm a front-end developer, you'd think I'd have an eye for detail, and I do, but I tend to use tools like rulers, like digital rulers, to make sure things are in the right position, and like magnifying glasses. Okay, so that still fails, and the problem, what would the problem be? New video is still in the same X position. It's because of this. Now, pin X is true here. And so we would expect check position to be the same previous screen X. Line 64 called from 131, right here. Initial screen X. So let's set a debugger here and see what the problem is. We're making good progress though. We've almost got it, I think. So the pip screen left edge is 42. The initial screen X, so it says it's 0. Resized screen X is 42. So initial screen X, where did that come from? Initial screen X is pip win Moz inner screen X. And then a new one got created here. So I'm curious, like, is it actually at 0 whenever we do that? Like, let's set a breakpoint earlier when we get the initial screen X and initial screen Y. Are we somehow overlapping the dock? That would be wild. Or is inner screen lying to us? That could be. Ah, we are overlapping it. That's interesting. That's interesting. I guess when you can move to 0, 0, even whenever it's not technically available. Look how it, like, yeah, it's definitely overlapping the dock. You're not supposed to be able to do that. That's interesting. And then we like try and reposition it. So I've got a different plan of attack. So I understand now what's going wrong here. And I want to change my plan of attack. We originally reset the saved pip location to 0, 0. I also want to use this clear win to like sample all the values of like here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to I want to sample all the values. Sample the screen and stuff in here. But then I'd have to do it down here too, which is kind of annoying. You kind of want to do a setup to sample the screen values. So that's what I'll do. Add setup async. And then we're just going to do it with the with controls case. We're going to document this. To do document. And what we're going to do is we're going to capture some global variables. Now, normally you don't want to use global variables, but this is a test, and global variables are fine. We do it all the time. Global functions, global variables. This is just a test, yo. So what we're going to do is we're going to reset the saved pip location to the top left edge of the screen, wherever that may be. We also sample, we also use this, we record the top left edge of the screen coordinates for into global variables to do later later coordinate comparisons after resizes. Okay, so clear win. We're not going to do this down here anymore. Async await this. Did I do this wrong? Right, okay. And then this is where we're going to sample. So wherever I was using picture-in-picture before, this stuff, we're going to take this out. We're going to sample in here. Pip screen, and we're going to collect the screen stuff. We get the pip screen, and then we get the pip screen left edge. And we're going to set that to a global. Let G left edge equal 0. And we'll call G left, like we're just going to overwrite that global here. We do that like this. JavaScript is fine with it. Video ID will be controls, with controls. And it turns out JavaScript is not fine with this because it wants this instead. Which, can I just do that? I guess I can just do that because it's a let. I can just redeclare it. I'm not using let equals here. I'm not using object destructuring, I'm doing array destructuring, and I guess that's okay. All right. And that gives us our left edge. And what I'll do is I'm gonna define this up here to do document. And add setup is gonna sample the left edge, close the window, and then we're gonna use the left edge. We're gonna get rid of this argument that we had originally added. And we're going to say let G top edge. Is it edge? Let top X. Maybe G left edge is not right. It's like left. You want the, like a veil. Left edge is fine. G left edge. G top edge equals 0. And we're going to do the same thing actually to get the top coordinate. Top coordinate. And so available screen size, what does that return? What's the order? Array left, then top. Perfect. G top edge. So that will write into that. And then move to G left edge, G top edge. Are there any other places where we do 0, 0? No. And let's see if this passes. It's been a while since we ran this. Let's run it. And then I think I'm going to end the stream shortly. I'm not going to make you watch me do all the documentation here. Presuming this passes, I'll just clean it up and then post it up for review. Passes. All right. Last thing I want to do is re-enable this part. And what I'll end up doing is I'm going to file a new bug. Maybe I'll let you watch me do that right now. I'm going to file the bug that I'm fixing with this patch, because I'm going to make that be a separate thing than the like overlapping picture-in-picture player windows thing. Okay, so it all passes. Let's file a new bug, and that's what I'm going to have be the what I'm going to attach the patch to. So Bugzilla. I'm going to be finishing the stream shortly. There were no questions in the queue So I don't have any questions to answer, but if you have any questions that you want me to try and answer next week, go ahead and rate this episode and include a question or 2 or 5 or 10 or who knows how many, and I'll see how many I can answer. Picture in picture. Make browser resize video less fragile when when the OS tray, application tray, isn't on the bottom. File a second bug for the pip cascade case. Yeah, you know what? That's probably a good idea. That's probably a good idea. Like as a follow up, I'll do that as well. But I'm not going to do that during the stream. But I'll do it after I'm done the stream, and I'll mark it as dependent on this one. So stay tuned. I'll update the agenda with that link once the bug is filed. Steps to reproduce in Mac OS and presumably in Windows. Move the dock or taskbar to the left side. Screen. Run browser video, resize video test. Run the browser resize video test. Expected results pass. Actual results fail. The reason for this is because the test assumes that the left edge of the screen that the test runs on is at the pixel 0. However, when the OS has something there, like the dock/taskbar, the left edge is actually, the left usable edge is actually offset by the width of that OS control. Okay, and I will take this, and this is it's not really a user-facing defect. This is a task to make it less fragile. Okay, so commit. Let's take a look at the diff first. Okay, commit bug such and such, make browser resize video.js more resilient against non-default OS control configurations. And this is a work in progress patch because I have not cleaned it up. So I will post this work in progress patch if you want to look at it and try it yourself even. Submit tip single whip. Oh yeah, I had this based on the patch for this, so that's going to be a little annoying for people who try and pull it down. You know what I should do actually? Is I should rebase tip onto central. What? Rebase our tip dest central. Do it. Thank you. What did I say before? Rebase, oh, destination tip, destination central. Yeah, nope. Okay, so that I'm going to, yeah, Moz fab submit tip single whip. Okay. So I got to clean that up. I'm going to file the bug to do the cascade, But I'm gonna do that off camera. So hey, thanks so much for watching episode 200 and what was this? 287 of The Joy of Coding. I hope that was interesting. It's my first time being back in the office. It's super warm in here. It's like a sauna. I'm dying. I might need to try a different room. Yeah, one with better ventilation, or at least a bigger room. It's kind of claustrophobic. I'm in this like really small space, and maybe one with better lighting. Who knows? But we'll see what happens. There will be no stream next week, so I will see you hopefully the week after that. And if you're interested in checking it out, I highly recommend this It Will Never Work in Theory conference. It's online, like virtual conference, lightning talks. It's really cool, so go check it out. And with that, I'll call it. Thanks so much for watching episode 287 of The Joy of Coding. Have yourselves a great day and a great week, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. The joy of coding. See ya.